Tonight on Business Live, 4 branches of the Palace Mall as well as the Regal Chinese restaurant in Osu have been closed over failure to comply with the GRA electronic tax law. We'll bring you today's episode of the Tax Collection Agency's electronic VAT enforcement exercise.
Commissioner's generous tip. And please, you tamper with that tip, it compounds your problems.
Also, 9 oil marketing companies fined 2.2 million cedis by the National Petroleum Authority for unlawful lifting of petroleum products. Plus, credit management decisions amid unfavorable economic environment cited as reason some banks are beginning to suspend loans to new and some existing customers following the increased policy rate.
With the analysis that are done, when it gets to situations like this, liquidity becomes quite challenging. And so the banks have to actually try as much as possible to remain in business.
And later in the bulletin, Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, IBAG, makes a case for the broker as the gateway to insurance services. Ahead will engage executives of the association to mark the Insurance Brokers Awareness Month. My name is Beverly Broohm. Do stay for details. Hello again. Now let's take a look at the details. The enforcement team of the Ghana Revenue Authority has served notice that its operations to get all entities to integrate their collection points to the electronic tax system is not targeted at only retail centers, but all forms of businesses. The move follows action by the team to seal some selected shops belonging to the Palace Mall in Labone, Spintex Road, Atomic Junction, and Tema in the Greater Accra region. Here's a report.
The quest to get companies comply with the GRA electronic VAT system continues as the enforcement team sealed the premises of selected shops belonging to the Palace Mall in Labone, Spintex Road, Weja, and the Regal Chinese restaurant in Osu.
Stop all the operation, we have no problem.
The Ghana Revenue Authority, however, allowed business entities that have complied with the laws by integrating their collection system with the electronic VAT system to operate peacefully. Addressing journalists before the exercise, Deputy Commissioner of Operations at the GRA, Kwesi Hagan, hinted that about 25 entities have so far complied with the law.
We are imploring all of us to ensure that of the 50 taxpayers who have been hooked, are supposed to hook onto the system, all would have complied as at yesterday. So for those who have not been complying, the takeout is that please do so before we get there, because it is not our intention to come and close your place down. We want you to work for the taxes to be paid. So this is just a suggestion and a plea to the taxpayers out there that get hooked onto the Commissioner General's EVAT before preventive and enforcement actions are taken against you. We'll continue this exercise throughout the week until each and every taxpayer of the 50 assigned is hooked onto the system. We have engaged an initial 25. Yes.
The Accra Central Enforcement Manager, Joseph Annan, who led the operations, warned the business entities not to tamper with the commissioner's tape used to block the entrance of their companies, else face imprisonment. He explains.
To ensure that these selected taxpayers comply with the law. Fortunately for us, the places we have been to, they all locked out their places before we got there. And that is good for us because we spent less time to get the places. We just applied the commissioner's generous tip. And please, you tamper with that tip, it compounds your problems because it can lead to an imprisonment. So if I were you, I'll guide it jealously. Because when we come to your premises and it's been tampered with, you have questions to answer. So there are places that we have not applied our padlocks, but the commissioner's tip is even much more weightier than applying the padlocks.
The GRA revealed that series of engagements have been held for the selected shops before the October implementation date.
Away from the GRA, the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has fined 9 oil marketing companies about 2.2 million cedis for engaging in illicit third-party trading of petroleum products and unlawful lifting of petroleum products. A statement from the NPA said it will continue to monitor activities in the downstream petroleum sector to sanitize the industry. Here's a report.
According to the statement, the companies are Beverly Petroleum, Jazz Petroleum, Oval Energy, Cross Energy, Safety Petroleum, and Santor Energy. The rest are Rice Globe Energy, Sanyon Energy, and Saigo Energy. The NPA directed that Saigo Energy pay a fine of 725,000 Ghana cedis, comprising of 30,000 Ghana cedis for engaging in third-party supplies for the second time, and 695,000 Ghana cedis for the unlawful lifting of petroleum products. Sanyon Energy was fined 425,000 Ghana cedis, comprising 10,000 Ghana cedis for engaging in third-party supplies for the first time, and 415,000 Ghana cedis for the unlawful lifting of petroleum products. Beverly Petroleum was slapped with a fine of 120,000 Ghana cedis, comprising of 10,000 Ghana cedis for engaging in third-party supplies for the first time, and 110,000 Ghana cedis for the unlawful lifting of petroleum products. Jazz Petroleum is to pay a fine of 65,000 Ghana cedis, comprising of 10,000 Ghana cedis for engaging in third-party supplies for the first time, and 55,000 Ghana cedis for the unlawful lifting of petroleum products.
The Ghana Association of Banks has cited a resultant liquidity pressure as the reason why some banks have begun to suspend loans to new and some existing customers following the increased policy rate. The policy rate, which is the rate at which commercial banks borrow from the Bank of Ghana, was increased to 24.5%. Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Iwa, spoke on the marketplace.
There is no industry-wide stance on credit tightening. Of course, you should know that the availability of credit is determined by a lot of factors. We have the macro environmental factors, as your reporter rightly pointed out, where interest rate is hovering now. Of course, banks will be looking at the ability to pay back the loans before making any availability possible. If rates are around upwards of 30%, then as a bank you want to look at environmental factors and customers' ability to make good their debt. But the key factor perhaps which may be causing the bit of tightening that we are seeing is, if you recall, in August, the central bank came out with some emergency MPC measures, monetary policy measures that called for increase in the cash reserve requirement of banks. We were at 12% in cash reserve requirement. The central bank increased it to 15%, and it was going to be implemented progressively. And from October, the rate increased from 13% to 14%. So definitely that will have an impact. Liquidity will be tightened, and when liquidity is tightened, giving the choice between giving the money to the next borrower and meeting your compliance requirement, which is a regulatory requirement, banks will prioritize making sure that they remain in business, and therefore will keep the liquidity available in order to meet their regulatory requirements in terms of cash reserve requirement. Of course, that squeezes a lot of liquidity from the banking sector, and that perhaps, much as I cannot confirm your reporter's assertion, perhaps may be the cause of a seeming tightening of credit in the environment. But there is no overall kind of lock on credit availability.
Meanwhile, banking consultant Christian Techijan says the decision by some banks to suspend loans to new customers is not a grand scheme, but part of credit management practices amid unfavorable economic conditions.
With the analysis that are done, when it gets to situations like this, liquidity becomes quite challenging. And so the banks have to actually try as much as possible to remain in business and to ensure that there is business continuity. So looking at the outlook, if it's not looking that good, especially with the situation that we find ourselves, you might not be able to go in chest out to say these are new to bank customers, so I'm just going to give everything to them. Definitely you subject to it to a bit of analysis and appraisal. So if it doesn't really look good, especially looking at the economic conditions, no, you might not want to venture in that region. But your existing customer who you've already been exposed to, always giving facilities to, yes, you might want to review what the conditions are. Definitely rates will be higher than what they used to pay with the existing customers.
You're still watching Business Live here on the Joy News channel with me, Beverly Broohm. Still to come, Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, IBAG, makes a case for the broker as the gateway to insurance services. Ahead, we'll engage executives of the association to mark the Insurance Brokers Awareness Month. Thanks for staying with us here on Business Live. Now, the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, IBAG, in line with its mandates to spread the knowledge of insurance and insurance broking, has declared its anniversary month of October as Broker Awareness Month. Now, according to the association, many Ghanaians are not aware of the value of buying insurance through an insurance broker. Hence, the need to create awareness as the only trade association and the mouthpiece of insurance brokers in Ghana. And joining me in studio on this subject are the president of IBAG, Shaibu Ali, as well as the assistant treasurer of IBAG, Sheila Ristberg. Thank you so much, lady and gentlemen, for joining me here tonight. Now, let me first start with Sheila. Why the theme, the insurance broker, your gateway to insurance?
Okay, so when it comes to insurance in Ghana, you'd notice that a lot of people are not really interested in insurance, or they don't know enough about insurance. And insurance brokers are insurance professionals who work for the client, and we act as intermediaries between the insurance companies and the clients to introduce them to the product and give them the best product at the most affordable price. So for why we chose this theme is to let's introduce Ghanaians to insurance and the role of the insurance brokers, the role that we play when it comes to the insurance journey. Because when it comes to brokers, we are all about helping you to make your insurance journey a less stressful one, and to also help you when it comes to things like claims, or even just introduce you to the general insurance market.
But Shaibu, tell me, why should I go through the insurance broker when I can walk straight to the insurance agent to do my own thing?
Thank you very much for the question. So I think that basically purchasing insurance can be very dicey. The easiest bit of it is just to take money, give it to an insurance company, get a policy document or a paper. But then the issue is, what are you buying? At what price are you buying it? From what company are you buying it? And when there's a loss, how are you treated when there's a loss? That is the reason why you need a broker to walk you through it. The broker is a professionally qualified person who knows the subject matter of insurance, just as the insurance company employees do. And so the same level of knowledge is brought to play at the negotiation stage. The broker brings options to the table. If you are buying an insurance policy, you might just go to one company to go and purchase it. The broker is going to scan the market with his or her market information or knowledge, get 4, 5, 6 insurance companies, get competitive terms for you, and then come and sit with you and say, these are the terms, these are the companies. I'm recommending A or B or C because of this or that. And when something goes wrong, you can hold the broker responsible for it. That is why it is necessary that when you are purchasing insurance, you go through a broker.
But won't this come at, an extra cost?
The beauty of it is that all this comes for free. The insurance premium build-up is made up of the pure premium aspect. There's an aspect that covers for the insurance company's overhead cost. There's an aspect for profitability, and then there's acquisition cost. The acquisition cost is what the insurance company will give to the broker if the broker is on the account. But if there's no broker on the account, the insurance company will keep the acquisition cost, but will not render you the services that you are supposed to get for that. So it is always best to use a broker, and the services of the broker is free. You don't pay for it.
Wow.
The best part of it is that the broker might even negotiate to get a premium down.
But Sheila, tell me, what's the difference between an insurance broker and an insurance agent?
Okay, so I think we get that question a lot. When it comes to insurance agents, they represent the interests of the insurance companies. So agents represent specific insurance companies, but brokers represent the interest of the client. So for instance, if you are dealing with an agent, the agent will only give you one policy because that's the insurance company they represent. But when you're dealing with a broker, the broker can give you options like Shaibu was talking about. So you can get 5 or 6 quotes from different insurance companies. The broker will help you to compare those quotes, and then the broker will then advise you on which one best suits your needs. But when you're dealing with an agent, because they represent their principal, which is the insurance company, it's more likely that they will just present you just that option and actually push you a little bit to buy it, because then they get their commission. So it's better for you to deal with a broker who has access to everyone on the market and can give you the best deal, because they know that no matter who you go with, you are still going to get value for money.
Shabi, let me come back to you. There's a perception that I want you to touch on. The fact that industry players are accusing brokers for being the main cause of undercutting in the industry. True or false?
A big false. So undercutting basically is a situation whereby insurance companies charge below the right premium rate. How are brokers the cause of this? Brokers are not the ones who give the quotations. Insurers are the ones who give the quotation. Do I come to you with a gun to your head to say, quote 1 CD instead of 5 CDs? No. So how can the broker be blamed for it? There's a problem in the industry. We all need to raise up to the problem and solve it. Fortunately, the NIC, the regulator, has brought up a solution where they have brought up minimum rates below which no one can go. If an insurance company should quote below that, the insurance company gets fined. I, the broker, I get fined. So everybody's supposed to play ball.
What do you make of the fines? Do you think it's a step in the right direction from the NIC?
I think so. Because, you know, the market in Ghana, for some reason, has been very, very difficult to regulate. Minimum rates are brought, nobody abides by them. Different types of efforts are put in by the regulator to sanitize the market, and people are still trying to do all sorts of things, all because of competition. So I think that if it is fines, that will get us to do the right thing. So be it. Yeah.
Let's come back to the celebration this month. Run us through the activities for this month.
Okay, so this month we are having a lot of media engagement, so on radio and on TV, to educate people about the need for insurance and why they should also use an insurance broker. We are also having social media engagements as well. And we are also visiting secondary schools to educate them about insurance and also the opportunities, the career opportunities in insurance. We are also having stakeholder engagement with some of the trade associations, and in the same vein, we are educating them about insurance. When it comes to the trade associations, some of them, certain professionals in Ghana need compulsory insurance, professional indemnity insurance. But it's even possible that they're not even aware of it. So this is why we are engaging the trade associations to advise them on the kind of policies that they need for their industries. And finally, we'll climax it with a soiree at the NIC where our IBAG office is. It's on the 28th of October, which is a Friday. So we hope that we'll see you there.
I'll try and be there, my producer and myself. Thank you so much, President of IBAG, Shaibu Ali, as well as the Assistant Treasurer of IBAG, Sheila Ristbeck. Thank you so much for your time here. Now, away from that, the Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Abdullahi Abanga, has called for the need to employ green technological solutions in solving the country's housing challenges. Speaking at the launch of the 2022 Ghana Green Building Summit, he noted that the housing and construction industry plays a crucial role in Ghana's fight against climate change, and hence stakeholders in these industries should embrace green innovative technologies to ensure a sustainable environment.
The Green Building Summit is a forum created to build conversations about the need for green technologies in the country's construction landscape. Speaking at the launch of the 2022 summit, the Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Abdullahi Abanga, said the construction industry plays a crucial role in Ghana's fight against climate change, and hence stakeholders in the industry will have to adapt green innovative technologies. This, he believes, will ensure a green and sustainable environment. He further added that his ministry is on course to setting up a housing authority with the mandate of regulating and planning housing developments in Ghana.
According to the 2019 Global Status Report for Buildings and Construction, almost 40% of the energy-related greenhouse gas emissions are from the building and construction sector. And as a policymakers, developers and built environment practitioners, this obviously calls for the need to collectively contemplate on alternative ways by which our buildings could optimize water conservation, recirculation, and reuse towards achieving water efficiency, particularly in our cities. Similarly, we need to embrace upon innovative technologies towards developing smarter cities that are hinged on clean and sustainable energy options, such as renewable energy solutions.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Energy, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, also stated that Ghana is on a path to achieving its energy mix target of 10% renewable energy by 2030.
VRA has built 22 megawatts of solar projects and completed them in Navrongo, Laura, and Kalio. For the first time in West Africa, we have constructed a 1 megawatt solar voltaic panel system floating on the Muida Reservoir. We have installed totally about 120 megawatts, representing 2.4 of the national generation mix. We continue to deepen our efforts in this regard, considering that by 2020, we should hit at 10% of the generation mix.
Commending Ghana on her efforts to ensure a greener environment, the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Ms. Harriet Thompson, said Ghana has shown leadership in taking steps to ensure energy sustainability, but added that there is more the country can do to harness the opportunities in the transition space.
So Ghana is doing a lot of work in this space. Energy transitions are always massively complicated, and particularly in a country where you need to look at accessibility to energy as well as sustainable energy. It means that you have to factor those two sides of it in. There are huge opportunities through sustainable energy options to improve the accessibility to energy at the same time. And we cannot see this transition to sustainable energy sources as being at the expense of economic growth. There is huge scope to do both of those things in parallel and to make an advantage of that shift to renewables to in fact create new job opportunities, new economic development opportunities.
And that's all for Business Live now. But if you want more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broohm, and I leave you with news making headlines on the international front.